Hello everybody, it is Shon Wilson. I am here with my first Ask Me Anything live broadcast in our Facebook group, Audition Tips and Giveaways. I'm hoping some of you are going to show up today because there's nothing worse than presenting to an empty house. If you're already here, go ahead and type your name in the comments so that I know that I am talking to you. And if you have a question, please, if you haven't already emailed me your question, go ahead and add that in the comments too so that I can address that for you today. So anybody who already coaches with me, whether you do private coaching or you do the workout, you know that one of the perks of working with me is that you always have the ability to ask me a question about the industry, about acting in general, and of course about the audition that you're working with me on that day. There are times when people finish up their sessions with me and stick around a little bit longer to ask a question that's been burning in their minds about the industry. Things like whether or not to go SAG, things like whether or not to submit to an agent at this time of year. One of the actors that I work with on a regular basis who has joined us on this live feed is Miss Jaseida Mojica. She can tell you for a fact that I will answer your questions. If you are one of my private coaching clients or you do the workout with me, you have my phone number. So you can always text me, you can always call me, and I'm happy to answer the questions as long as I'm available to take the call. If you are not one of my private coaching clients, you can still shoot me a question here in our group, and I am happy to answer that as well. So to get started, we're actually going to start with the question that Jaseida gave us a few days ago when I first announced that I would be doing this. Oh, and as a heads up, this is why I'm doing it. Yes, my private coaching clients always get a chance to ask me questions, and I am always going to answer them for them. And I figured with this being the holiday season, it is a perfect time of year for me to extend that courtesy to those of you who don't necessarily coach with me yet. Just because you're not my coaching client yet doesn't mean you won't be. And so I thought it would be fun during this holiday season for me to do a couple of these live trainings here on our group page so that you can ask me any questions you have. So we're going to start with one of the questions that Jaseida gave us, and that is about holiday cards. Her question was, how do you feel about holiday cards to casting directors? Holiday postcards to casting directors was specifically her question. And my answer, the short version is, I love them. I think they're a great idea. If you have somebody who has made a difference in your career, whether it's a small difference or a big difference, and you want to show your gratitude to them, I am all for doing cards. However, there is, as there always is with me, a caveat. Because, hey, we're actors, our money can be tight, and we don't want to go broke doing, well, anything, you know, not just postcards, but anything. When it comes to holiday postcards, I think it is great and a good idea to send personal cards to people that you already have a relationship with. So those are casting directors that you have met multiple times in casting director workshops, not just one time. Those are also casting directors who you have gone in for because they have called you in, even if they've only called you in once. I also believe, of course, in holiday postcards for your agents and your acting coach. Anyway, now, when it comes to trying to get your name and your face out there, I don't think a personalized holiday postcard is the way to do that. Because A, number one, it's going to get super costly. And B, number two, because that casting person or that agent, if you're trying to target agents that you're interested in possibly signing with or managers, they don't know who you are. And if they don't already have a relationship with you, here's what's going to happen with that card. Okay, that's nice. That's it. It is not going to get you. Oh, I look great. Thank you to say that. I just saw her note there in our comments that I look great. Thank you, darling. I'm sure you do too. I can't see you live, but you're always so beautiful. So right back at ya. But getting back to these postcards, if you have a relationship with the casting director already, yes, please send a personalized holiday card to them. It can be an actual paper card that you purchase at a Target or Hallmark store, or it can be something that's geared towards actors for promoting ourselves. Two of the companies that I use are, gosh, I just lost the name of one of them. Well, the main company that I use is called Send Out Cards. Hey, Michelle, see that you joined us. My favorite one to use is Send Out Cards because they've got beautiful designs and you can personalize them by adding your photo
to the card, and that way that casting director that you're targeting is reminded who you are and what you look like. And then the other one I use, I'm going to have to type into the comments here later on today what the other one that I use, clearly much less often, is called, so that you have that as an option. It's a little bit less expensive than send out cards, but both of them are reasonably priced. With the other one, Postagram. It's called Postagram. With Postagram, there's a perforated version of your headshot included in the postcard, which casting can then pop out of the card and put wherever they file their postcards. So that's really, really cool. With the ones that send out cards offers, they don't have the perforation that the casting person can pop your picture out, which I kind of like better because they have nicer cards. Like, for instance, my thank you card that I use through them says merci, which, as you all know, is French for thank you. And so because it's more personal, I think it has a bigger impact with that casting person. So that is my suggestion for you guys for doing holiday postcards for people that you already have a relationship with. Use send out cards or use Postagram. Or if you want to get a paper card from Target or Walmart or wherever, do that. Keep that list small because you don't want to go broke doing it. Now, adjacent to that is when you want to get your name out there to casting directors who don't already know you, who are not already familiar with your work. Oh, you're very welcome for the tips, Michelle, and thank you for saying that I look stunning. I am touched. If you are trying to send out postcards to like tons of casting directors or tons of agents or managers that you have an interest in working with, what you want to do for that is something that's more of a mass mailing. And I am a huge fan of and use mass emails for that. So over time, you want to be collecting your casting director or target agent and manager emails. You always want to have a growing organic email list for that kind of communication. And with those, what I do is I create a postcard of my own. There are several services that you can use for that. Canva is one of them. MailChimp also lets you make your own postcards. I do mine from the beginning. Hi, Chi, good to see you. Oh, I'm going to be doing a coaching with you in just a few minutes. So thanks for joining. I personally create my own card doing my own desktop publishing when it's for mass emailing. For years, I was doing that using PowerPoint. Now I use Square Marketing for that. In fact, Square Marketing is the way that you guys get these emails from me saying things like, hey, I'm doing a live coaching. Join me, please. So with that, I create the card. Last year, what I did, which was very, very popular with people, is I did a collage. I did a Christmas collage of all the pictures that had been taken during my visit here in North Carolina. By the way, I'm here at my mom's house in North Carolina. And I put that collage together as a postcard with a greeting, a season's greeting kind of thing, and wished them all a Happy New Year. And then I sent that card as inline text in an email to the people on my mailing list. So that way it's personal, because these casting directors and agents, they don't want to just see you as somebody going, hey, sign me, sign me, sign me. Hey, hire me, hire me, hire me. They love seeing your life, believe it or not. They don't want to get newsletters hearing about your recipes for gumbo. Don't do that. I know some actors that do stuff like that. That's just, come on, y'all. That is not what they're about. But they do like seeing who you are as a person outside of being like, hey, I'm a star. So that's what I do. I create the card, I include it as inline text in an email, and I send it to my mass email list. That goes out to people who don't already know who I am, as well as those who do, because they are also on my email list. But those people just happen to get the added bonus of a personalized holiday card for me. So I hope that answers your question, Miss Jaseida. Let's see, I think I have time to hit another one. What else did we have come up today? Ooh, all right, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Oh, and if for some reason I didn't completely answer your question, Jaseida, which I doubt, because you know me, I'm like blah, 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 blah. But if for some reason I didn't cover exactly what you needed to know, go ahead and type me a note here in the comments so that I can address it further for you. In the meantime, we're gonna move on to how to easily get off book. Question: how many of you guys have prepared an audition even come to me for coaching, worked your butt off to get off book. I mean, you knew that you knew that you knew that you knew it. And then you went to your audition and your nerves start kicking in. And it's not like you're like completely falling apart with nerves, but you got a little bit of energy, too much energy percolating underneath the surface. And you get called into the room. And things may even be exactly how you imagined them to be, or they may be completely different than how you thought they would be. And you lose your lines. I know some of you had this happen because you've told me that it's happened and you've had to start over. And for a lot of you, because a lot of my clients, like attracts like, a lot of my clients are type A personalities like myself, okay? And so when that happens, you start getting in your head about not doing it right. And then you become your own worst enemy because you're like, oh my God, I got to get it right this time. And then the next one might be a little bit better, but not as good as you wanted it to be. Or it might not be good at all. It might just keep going downhill. So here's how to combat that, okay? My little trick for how to get off book easily and also not lose your lines in the room. Because I never go up. I never go up, she said arrogantly. Ugh. Anyway, it's easy. Read the text. Read it and read it and read it and read it and read it. That's it. So you know how you can like a new song will come out and you don't know that song when you first hear it, but then you hear it again and you hear it again and you hear it again, and the next thing you know it by heart without even trying. You never sat down and tried to memorize that song. You just know it, right? Or let's say you're an actor who also does theater and not just on camera work. And when you are rehearsing for a show, you have a longer period of time to prepare that role. And so every night you guys are working from the script and you're reading it as you're doing it. And you're not like sitting down and memorizing the lines, and you sublimate that information. You learn it without even trying. Because when that director says, say it's a Friday, hey you guys, when we come back on Sunday, I want you to be off book. You're like, oh my God, I got off book. So you go home, you party on Friday night, you party on Saturday night. It's like, oh my goodness, I got rehearsal on Sunday. I need to get off book. And you go to sit and try to make yourself memorize, and you find that you already know it better than you realized. And it's because you've just been doing it over and over, day after day during your rehearsal process. You can do that same thing. So let's imagine that you have 4 rehearsals a week over a 6-week period. So that's 24 rehearsals before you do a theater piece, right? It's 24 times. When you get sides for an on-camera audition, read it multiple times. If it is super short, read it the 24 times. If it's a one-liner, read it the 24 times. If it is a longer scene, you might not be able to do 24. My standard for myself is that I read every scene 10 times. The whole thing, out loud, my lines, the other characters' lines, and the stage directions. The whole thing from beginning to end. And so what that does is it gives you a strong sense of the scene. You know what's happening. And if you know what's happening, you know what makes sense for your character to say next. You know what's happening in the scene because you've read it so many times. You have a sense of it beginning to middle to end. And you've heard the lines over and over, not just yours, not just going, I told you not to come here. 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 Okay, I got it. I told you not to come here. And then you get in the room and you say something like, I told you I didn't want to see you. That wasn't the line. And it's because you memorized it in isolation that you kind of remembered what it was about, but you didn't remember it perfectly. But if you read the entire scene, and so it's like you're reading the other characters' lines as well as your own. Hey, Jessica, I really needed to see you. I told you not to come here. Yes, I know, Jessica, but I really needed to see you. You need to leave now. Then when you get in the room, hey, Jessica, I really needed to see you. I told you not to come here. And so on and so forth. Because you know what the other character is saying too, you've got the whole thing in your mind and you know it. Trust me on this. So the easy way to memorize lines that will also keep you from going up in the room is to read it. That's all. And it's so much easier than sitting there and trying to like drum it into your head. know the scene, know what's happening. That also helps you get a bigger sense of the character, so your point of view is stronger. And when that character's point of view is clear, you always know what to say next. Because it's the thing that would make the most sense. Trust me on that, okay? So I believe I don't have any other questions that came through while we were doing this live. Hey, I want to thank those of you that showed up today for my very first one. Thank you for not letting me be out here all by myself. Just being like, hey guys, what's up? Crickets. I really appreciate you showing up. And this, of course, is going to be on the page for those of you who weren't able to make it at this time. You can go back and watch it later on. If you have a question, type it into the comments and I will address it in our very next live training. You're welcome, Jaseida. I see your thank you. Yes, I will see you in just a few minutes. Michelle, what's up? Looking forward to seeing you again soon too. You guys have a wonderful holiday season if I don't see you. Oh, yes, quick things. In addition to putting your questions in the comments here, you can always send them to me at coaching@shonwilson.com. For those of you who are not yet my clients, and for those of you who are my clients, you have my other email address. You know how to contact me. Don't text me your questions though, please, because I might not go back to the text thread. I'm much better at checking that kind of thing via email. So if you have questions, email them to me. And then if you are interested in doing private coaching with me, anytime during the rest of 2019, keep in mind, I am not in LA right now. For the holiday season, I am in North Carolina with my family. So it will be an online coaching that we do. Pricing is the same as when you guys do in person with me. Is there anything else I want to cover before we get off? I don't think so. Thank you, Jaseida, for your question. Thank you guys for showing up, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, how do I turn this thing off?